Because when you pass this class and you do your assignments, you take your quizzes, you say hello on the discussion boards and contribute to the discussion boards, you're going to get credit for global history regions. You will not have to take it in June as long as you pass this class. So you're going to get credit for that. So I want to talk about the United States because next year you're going to have U.S. history and government, and I want to get you ready for that by telling you what role the United States had, particularly in the 20th century. So we're going to talk about the United States a lot more in this class because the 20th century was the U.S. century. We had the largest and strongest military in the world, which was made clear after our victory in World War I. And after that, it was clear the United States had the strongest, most technologically advanced military in the world for the entire 20th century. Also, we had the world's largest economy and the most successful economy in world history. The former governor of New York, FDR, became the president of the United States in 1933. He was elected to office in 1932, also in 36, in 1940, and again in 1944. The aim for today is what did FDR do during the Great Depression, but particularly what did he do during World War II? That's what we're going to focus on today. You will hear much more about the Great Depression and the New Deal in the United States history class next year. But for now, I do want to just briefly go over a couple of things. As you know, in 1929, there was a stock market crash. And it triggered a worldwide Great Depression. And it was not just in the United States. It was everywhere in the world. Since this is global history and not United States history, I don't want to get into domestic policy of the United States too deeply, but you should know there was a New Deal, the Social Security Act, many public works programs, and you'll be learning a lot about that in U.S. history next year. Those New Deal policies didn't start until FDR took office in 1933. Remember, he was elected in 1932 in November, but did not take office until 33. In 34, 35, the economy sputtered along, but there was some sense of hope that he gave the people. Around the same time FDR gained power, Hitler also gained power in Germany, and other Axis powers like Italy and Japan, but particularly Germany, started aggressive actions against their neighbors. Japan attacking China, Italy attacking North Africa and Ethiopia. Germany eventually attacks Poland, the Sudetenland. They helped Francisco Franco and bomb towns like Guernica in Spain. These Axis powers posed a threat to our friends and allies from World War I. So our allies during World War I were the United Kingdom and France fighting against Germany and Austria in World War I. But this is World War II now, and Germany is being very aggressive against the Sudetenland and its Eastern European neighbors. Italy is being aggressive versus North Africa and taking over great swaths of land in North Africa and in Ethiopia over here. They're threatening them and bombing them with planes. FDR wants a policy of neutrality, or at least that's what he said. In reality, he sort of supports Great Britain and France and wants to see them free from Italian and German rule. So jump ahead to 1937, and you'll see that there is this strong element of neutrality, and the Neutrality Act passes in 1937. FDR gets around this with a cash and carry program. The cash and carry program basically allows France and Great Britain to come in and to buy stuff and pick it up at American ports. And this cartoon kind of shows that a little bit. And you have the neutrality people over here clearly saying that this is not our war. And Uncle Sam, or FDR, is saying, well, this is aid and it's short of war. It's not really war, so we're okay. Later, this cash and carry program morphed into, from 1939 to 1941, morphed into a Lend-Lease Act, in which not only would we give equipment out to people that had cash and were able to pick it up, but now we started to lend equipment to our allies, particularly Great Britain and Soviet Union, because at the time France has already been overrun pretty much in this situation. So we're spending money, lending and leasing equipment to the Europeans, particularly Great Britain and Russia. And this is FDR signing that Lend-Lease Act of 1941. So clearly FDR is not a neutral person when it comes to the war in Europe. But there is a tremendous isolationist sentiment in the United States, headed by Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh was an American first, I could say neo-Nazi or fascist, but that would be a little strong. But he was an America First nationalist, and thought that the United States should stay out of the war and be an isolationist nation. The reasoning behind isolationism was because World War I was a devastating war. Plus, at the same time that World War I took place, you had the pandemic of the Spanish flu. And the Spanish flu and World War I were both quite deadly, taking place at the same time. And people did not want that to happen again. They wanted to avoid World War II and avoid that pain. There's been estimates that 20 million people died from World War I, and an equal amount, if not more, died from the Spanish flu. A lot of people say World War I might have been pushed to its ending a little quicker than it would have ended, because the Spanish flu was being spread among the troops, and the troops were dying from both sides. There was a ceasefire, and then, as you know, Germany signed the Treaty of Versailles, which was very unfair to the Germans. So 20 years after World War I, in 1939, no one had a taste in the United States. Very few people had a taste for another worldwide war. So we started the Cash and Carry and Lend-Lease Act to help our allies, but to stay away from the war. Germany, obviously, and Japan and Italy did not like the fact that we were lending and leasing military equipment to their enemies. So we are giving weapons, or selling weapons, lending, leasing weapons, after the non-aggression pact ends between Stalin, this man, and Hitler. There was the non-aggression pact that they had to invade Poland. And that non-aggression pact ended badly for the Soviet Union, as Hitler broke it, stabbed Stalin in the back, essentially, and invaded the Soviet Union and killed many, many people, millions of people in the Soviet Union. We were also selling weapons to Great Britain and its leader, Winston Churchill. Churchill was very friendly with FDR.